Anyways, even though I didn't technically finish it, I didn't beat the last boss. I'm gonna try and beat him, maybe off stream. But like normally, when I finish a game, technically I didn't, but when I finish a game, I like to review it off the cuff. And here's gonna be my mini review, CG mini review of Perfect Dark. So the game came out in 2000, I believe, and it, a lot of fans have a lot of passion for this game. And the reason why I wanted to play it is because a lot of fans were really going gaga over the new teaser trailer for a potential new game. And I was like, what's all the. I had played a few levels back in the day, wasn't really impressed, but hey, that was years ago, right? So here we go. I have it on Rare Replay, which is actually on Game Pass. I I had actually bought it before Game Pass, so I had it in my library. So I decided to give it a whirl. So this is, I believe, a remaster, or at least there's a graphical upgrade to the original, obviously, because this got released originally on the N64. In terms of the game itself. So I'm going to review this based on the solo missions, not on the multiplayer or anything else. It's the solo missions, basically. That's all I'm going to be going for. So for the solo missions, the graphics are pretty good. I mean, they hold up pretty well. And the way that I would describe it, and I've described this during my streams, the levels feel. I didn't say that they are, but they kind of feel and look a bit like Deus Ex on the PC, the original. Uh, the marble flooring that's super shiny. It looks like it's wax. Um, you know, big rooms, but not a lot of furniture inside, which is fine. I actually enjoyed, especially at the beginning of the game, I enjoyed going into different offices and seeing what was available there and so on and so forth. So yeah, I kind of I like that part, the aspect of that game of the game really really well. The music, it's okay. I mean, it's good for what it was, or for what it's good for what it is. It's not bad. It's not great. It's in the middle. Obviously, the sound effects are a little bit dated. You know the when you it's the late 90s early 2000 games where when you're walking it sounds like you're walking on metal. No matter who you are, either you're um, you know sorry, either you're come on, a am I going to say it? Holy crap. uh, I lost my train of thought. Holy crap. I am getting old. I have the memory of a goldfish. Music. Oh, yeah. So the year 2000s and stuff like that, it feels like everybody has high heels when they're walking, either you're male or female. It's like that metal uh, feeling. It's okay. Um, but it has that nostalgia feeling on it. The story is actually pretty decent, to be quite honest. I am actually quite surprised at the actual game itself, the story. It's actually really, really good, and I could understand why fans would like this. But in a similar fashion to when I played Mass Effect, the gameplay hasn't aged very well. Um, yes, you have guns that auto aim, and you see it's really the beginning of the era of real first person shooters on console. And I could understand why when people played Halo, it revolutionized the console first person shooter because these are rough on the it's rough on the edges in terms of gameplay. The guns are cool, everything is good, but I mean the fact that there's no checkpoints really, like the last boss, it wouldn't be that bad if I didn't have to redo the whole level every time. Now, the thing is that the levels are not super long. Technically, if you know what you're doing, the last level can take like 10 minutes. But because I don't, it's it took me an hour and a half and I didn't even finish it. So, actually, it took me 2 hours. And I didn't even beat the final boss. Um, but having said that, I think I understand why fans have a nostalgia for this. I could understand on the N64 why this would have been really cool. Obviously, it wouldn't have been as nice graphically as it was on the Xbox 360 because it was an upgraded version. But I could understand why people would have liked this. The one thing I have to fault the game, which improved with the years, and it gives me an appreciation for games that are made today. The level design is a little bit left to be desired. Um, some levels you don't really, it's not super clear. Now there's aspects of it where it's my fault. I didn't read the synopsis properly, and it would have told me what to do. But there's other times where it actually tells you what to do, but it's not clear where you're supposed to go, and there's no map. So there's some levels where I got lost in the map. There's a random door that I missed or whatever, and it's weird. So I kind of, from a level design perspective, I think even back then I would have been frustrated to play the game. In all honesty, but it is what it is, and you know, um, it brings you back to, it'd be good if, and everybody does this, and I maybe not, but everybody says this, but like a remaster, a true remaster of this game with the proper controls and proper level design. You know what? Leave it the way it is. Just put a save state. I'd fucking be happy. Unfortunately, I don't know. I really don't know what what it is that makes it really, the level design is really weird. Obviously, as you probably have noticed, the final boss is a bitch. I've looked at videos and he beat him like in 5 seconds. Um, and I don't know, I'm not getting the timing properly or whatever. I know you have to, there's the crystals in the back that you have to kind of break, but like that timing of when you have to do it, it's weird. And the thing is that unlike, like, let's say a Doom or more recent games where you have ample ammo to go around, here it's like once you enter the room, whatever ammo you have entering the room, that's what it is. And to me, that's a bit of a shame because um, if you don't know how to do things properly, you're kind of stuck. And then if you fail, you have to do the level all over again. There's not even a save state. So I can't even save outside of the door and then do the final boss all the time. I mean, and that alone, I'm sure there were a lot of people that were frustrated and that rage quit the game. I guarantee you. I'm sure I'm not the only one. Yes, I do admit that I did make the game harder on myself. That's fine. But keep in mind, this is the first time I was playing it. I was playing it blind. I had never played it before, or I had played like one level like 20 years ago. But I didn't remember anything about the game. I hadn't watched anybody play it. So I was going in blind. And I have to admit that some parts were tough. Now, if you know what you're doing, the game can take 5 hours, 6 hours max. If you know what you're doing. If you don't know what you're doing and you get stuck somewhere, yeah, that could be like easily double or triple. Just because it's the way the game is done, and it's not always. And I got lucky because I had Stimp that was actually able to give me a little hints here and there. But in general, it doesn't give you a lot of. It doesn't handhold you, and a lot of times it tells you something, and I wasn't paying attention because I was reading the chat or whatever. It's hard to get that narrative again because it triggers sometimes at the same place, sometimes not, and it's hard to actually know. There was a level in particular where I got freaking stuck. I would have to turn on a switch. I was like, what the fuck? You have to turn on the switch. I couldn't get the first objective, and it was a stupid button that was hidden somewhere. that I didn't think it was a button because it looked the same square, green square, looked the same as other buttons that weren't accessible. So to me, I didn't think of it of pressing that button. Things like that. Like it's a few things that are a few rough around the edges. In terms of story, I like it. I mean, it was pretty good. I mean, for the time too. Good storytelling, and I feel like modern games can take a bit from this. I feel a lot of modern games go overboard with the cinematics. Obviously, it's not an RPG or anything, but I feel like a lot of games would benefit from less cinematics. And a game that I would compare to that's recent, that's in the like obviously you can't compare side to side, it doesn't make sense, but it's a similar idea is Wolfenstein, right? The reboot where it's a linear story, you go from point A to point B. Yeah, there's side missions here and there, but even here apparently there's side missions which I never did. Um, so there's things where I find where Wolfenstein kind of Wolfenstein 2 there was a lot of cinematics. Sometimes I would like for them to cut the cinematics and just go with gameplay. You don't need the cinematics. Not everything needs a freaking cutscene. First person story games I could understand, because Wolfenstein is trying to be an RPG, an action RPG light, because it's kind of an RPG, but it's kind of not. Um, but I would think that it's the precursor. This is a precursor to that, and we've come a long way from this game. So I can compare it from the graphical perspective. I can compare it in terms of gameplay because the controls are different. It's a different era. I'm not playing it, and I can understand why people were have a nostalgia for this game, especially if you grew up with it. Same way as I always have a nostalgia for Police Quest games. I love Police Quest games, but I mean a lot. They're very frustrating games, but for me, I love them because it's a period of time in my life where I love playing them. Having said that, take a step back. I'm not a big. The story is great in terms of game. Hasn't really aged very well. Um, the level design is a little bit eh. The AI sucks. The enemy spawning is horrible. There's people that spawn out of nowhere. And there was a level which I think was busted at one point because it was a series of tunnels where I had to navigate and get to somewhere. And in one of my playthroughs of that level, guys just kept spawning over and over and over again, like no matter where I went. I thought it was part of the game, and then I left, and the next time I loaded the game, that didn't happen. I actually killed the people, and that was it. And then after that, the tunnels were empty, and they didn't respawn. So I don't know if that was a bug per se. Um, the one thing to think, and this is an Xbox Series X thing, quick resume doesn't work quite well with this game, and it's not a knock on the game or anything. It's just an FYI. The audio it doesn't always work. So if I do quick resume, it doesn't. Some audio doesn't work, or it doesn't work at all. So just keep that in mind if ever you're playing that on a more modern version of Xbox. Um, I don't know if this would be on the Xbox One if that would be a thing, but I know that on the Series X because quick resume is a Series X thing. So, but that's fine. I didn't expect it. It's a 360 game. I mean, yeah, it's backwards compatible. It's backwards compatible, but so all in all, I think it's a good game. Yeah, exactly. I think it's a good game. I think that the story is great. Obviously, if they do a new Perfect Dark and they use a similar, like they elaborate the story a little bit, and the gameplay is improved, that's gonna be a really good game. And apparently, it's a reboot they're doing. So if that's the case, then maybe they're gonna be using the elements. Um, and it's not one of those games where you're attached to a character. Yeah, you have the agents that are there. You have the alien called Elvis, which brings a little bit of comedy. here and there, which is funny. But it's not like the story is not so elaborate that you feel attached to a character. It's just a fun game to play, pick up and play. Um, but it's not like if I would rate this. See, I have a better. I would think 007. I have better memories of 007 than this game. But 007 also had issues as well. GoldenEye had issues as well. So I think I would fit it in the same category only because if you have a big nostalgia feeling for this game, you'll love it. It's the way you remember playing it. Obviously, the controller is different, but it's really good. I would suggest to play it on a modern console because the graphics are really really good. They actually look really good. Yeah, all you need is Joanna. Um, so yeah, I would recommend it to anybody. Actually, it's on Game Pass for console at least. I don't know if it's on PC, but it's on console, and that's cool. That's free. So if you guys want to try it, go right ahead. Now, I was hesitant to see if I would play Perfect Dark Zero, which got released in 2005. And I'm wondering if I should play it or not, or if I should play a longer game, like an RPG. It's weird. I kind of have. I want to play something quick, but I also have an itch for an RPG. Like I'm playing like a Fallout 4 or a Mass Effect 2 or something. So I don't know what I would be playing. So maybe I will be playing Perfect Dark, but to be honest, I've had a lot of issues with not issues, but it's more of like going back to old games is sometimes tough. Um, and Mass Effect was one of them. Perfect Dark is another one. Um, for all it did for the genre back in the day, and you have to respect that, it has not really aged that well. And if you think that, oh, it's I'm just saying that, I say the same thing about Halo 1. Halo 1 hasn't aged very well. I loved Halo 1 when it came out. I was in love with it. Halo 2 as well. It has not aged well. I didn't play the Legend the remaster, but the original game that I have from the original Xbox is pretty tough. It's pretty rough. It did a lot of things great for the genre, but again, it's 20 years ago, and it's showing that it shows its age. So it's the same thing for this. It's one of those games where you have to respect it, but it hasn't aged particularly well. And I don't know if Perfect Dark Zero did that as well, but I'm not saying that they're one and two. Like, I'm not saying they're not good games. I enjoyed them a lot when I played them, but it's rough around the edges. Like, especially if you're used to playing Halo 4 and 5, like the later games, it's tough. Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna play it or not. It's free with Rare Replays, so I might actually pick it up. I don't know if I'm gonna do it or not, but I'm thinking about it. So in the end, do I recommend Perfect Dark? I think it's one of those games that you owe to yourself to play at least once if you can. It's on Game Pass. So if you have Game Pass, you have nothing to worry about. It's there. You can download it. Um, you have to go with the expectation that you're playing a 20-year-old game, and if you have that expectation and you know what to expect, it's actually not that bad. I didn't not that I did go in expecting that, but I didn't think the level design would have been that tough. It's rough around the edges. And the worst part is some levels like I was able to finish like in 10 minutes, and then some levels it took me an hour. I know I made myself. I completely uh, you know put the blame on my shoulders. I made my life more complicated than it had to be. But at the same time, I don't feel the game kind of hinted you in the right direction, and I didn't want the game to say it was easy or say that no, it wasn't easy because I put it on easy and whatever. It's not that the fact that it was easy or not. It's just that I feel that The level design made it harder than it had to be. Now, if you play it and you if you play it and you have that replay value after and you play it a second time, it's a lot easier. And the more you play, it's not one of those games where it's going to take you 10 playthroughs to freaking figure it out. One playthrough, you figure it out, and then the second playthrough, you can probably finish the game, like I was saying at the beginning, in about 5 to 6 hours. Easy. Especially if you speed run. It's really it's not a very long game. The levels are not super. It's weird. The level design is weird. It looks like Deus Ex, the original Deus Ex, in terms of the way that it's built. Story. The levels are huge. But there's little furniture. It kind of has that feel, but it has that claustrophobic feel as well in certain areas of Deus Ex Invisible War. It's kind of a mix of one and two. It's weird. It's really a mix of those two games. Um, but hey, it is what it is. That's how I experienced the game. You guys experienced it with me, and I thank you as well. I know Tagger and Kenny are streaming right now. Stimp, thank you for passing by. Really appreciate it. Branandram, thank you for being my Patreon supporter. Who else passed by? Anybody else passed by? I don't think so. Nope, that was it. So thank you guys. Oh, Foxy. How can I forget Foxy? Foxy Loxy, the man, the myth, the legend. How can I forget him? He is the man. Thank you for passing by. Thanks for the host. Really appreciate it. If you guys want to read my reviews, you can go to our roundtable.ca. My last reviews were entertainment related. I reviewed in a three-parter Spencer for Hire, which is an 80s themed. Have a good one, Tagger, and thanks for the. I know you're broadcasting now, so thanks for following at the same time that you're broadcasting. And thanks, Stimp, again for passing by. Really appreciate it. Thanks for the hockey talk throughout the streams through this game. And I'm going to call it quits for tonight. So that's my reviews for the last game. I haven't really reviewed games lately, but I haven't really played many games. To be honest, I haven't had much chance. So I'm hoping to get a little bit back on track in the next few weeks. Retromania I want to review. I also want to review NHL 94 Rewind. Fallout 4, James's Ruins. I still haven't reviewed that. Yeah, that's it, guys. Thank you so much. Have a good one, and go Habs go. Hee hee.